Now, when I left you guys yesterday, I told you that things would only get worse because I would end up in the psych ward at St. Mary's Hospital. And the biggest question is, how and why did I get there if the man I married was the one that was crazy? And as much as I'd like to give you every bit of juicy details, it did build up to that. So let me help you understand just what went on with this, like I said previously, vibrant and beautiful woman. You know, it's crazy because like I said, this dude, he had the audacity to lose his job. But here I was, a thriving cosmetologist. And let me just add a little clarity. At this time in my life, I wasn't actually licensed. I was only braiding hair, but I had a massive clientele. While I was bringing in, back in like 1994, 95, I was already bringing in $700 a week. By the time I got to him, to make $1,400 was like a blink in time. I was making money. I was successful. I was thriving. And I had been ambitious and I had been taking care of myself. And so hustle muscle has always been a part of me. So I was having an issue with this man, but I married him anyway. And the irony is it took him so long to find a job, but he would look at me and say, "Are you really going to do hair all day and all night long?" He would get pissed off at me, because I'm sitting here doing what needs to be done to make sure the mortgage is paid, to make sure the insurance is paid, the same insurance that he would have to use one day when he decided that pushing and shoving was no longer enough, and that he would put his hands to my face and smack me, and I would attack him, and he would fall, and he would break his pinky, but the insurance that I paid for would be what would heal him. Because, that's what you do when you're an entrepreneur. You don't have 401ks and benefits. You pave your own path. And I paid for this man to be okay after he thought that he would try to kick my ass. That was what I was dealing with and what I was going through. This man was psychotic. And here it is, I'm sitting here and I'm sitting there trying to figure out where is truth and what do I do? And see, I hadn't went crazy just yet because I was still looking for and seeking for and searching for God. And I would sit there and I would pray and I would go to church, and it seemed like the more I prayed, the more a beast in him just rose up. Matter of fact, sometimes I would be in the house and I'd be like, I'm not even going to deal with this. I'm just going to go pray. And he'd be like, whenever, when you pray, that just make the demons get more and more upset. They say the demons tremble when they hear the name of God, but that don't mean they stop doing what they doing. And I'm like, Jesus, this man, he's just crazy. And I would pray on him and I'd be like, God, fix him. And I'd be like, God, change him. And I would do something. And then one day I had an epiphany. I was like, well, maybe I should work to change me. Maybe it's me, because something's got to be wrong with me, because you got to remember, I'm mad because there's not a single woman in my family that's running to my aid, not a single aunt that knew any of my business ever came to me and said, August, what has happened to you? This isn't you. How could you be in this type of relationship? Baby girl, we got you. Wait a minute, hold the press. See, my family didn't know how much I literally hated them. See, after August, for people that know I'm a little tomboyish and rough, you need to know I was raised by my grandmama. And after grandmama had this grandbaby, the first grandchild, there was Derek, Devontae, Damarian, Steven, Justin. I'm in a family full of boys. Everybody knew my business, but did nobody come to my house? Nobody knocked on the door and said, where that nigga at? Because see, this one right here, we see greatness in her. And we don't even care if we did see greatness in her. This is our blood. Put your hands on her again if you want to. Do something where our great grand niece, my little niece, my great niece will get hurt. Nigga, we'll tear your ass up. Nobody did that. So I'm like, okay, I made my bed. I might as well lie in it. I'm like, I don't necessarily see a way out. And they say you shouldn't make decisions when you're angry. How about you really can't? When you're angry, distracted, and borderline depressed. But I'm seeking God, right? So I'm praying and I'm fasting and I'm trying. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pray on him anymore. And I'm going to seek God even the more. And I remember one day I got up He wanted me to choose between him and church, and it was like, dude, you don't even sleep with me anymore. You're always running the streets. You're always on the boat. I'm working all day. No, you don't have a job to go to. How about we kick it after church, because I need to go somewhere to have some peace. Well, I couldn't find my house key. How convenient. But I went ahead and I went to church anyway. Let me show you just how ignorant this man was. When I came back home from church, he knew when I was coming back. Called him, he wouldn't answer the phone. Knocked on the door, he wouldn't answer the door. And his little brother, who was in high school, was with me. And I'm like, okay, oh God, why is James tripping again? Now, mind you, even though I'm going to church and I'm praying, y'all don't be understanding some of y'all church folk. Y'all act like as soon as somebody get there, they pray a couple times and know a scripture or two, that we can't flip, we can't get crazy, we can't still cuss, we can't feel some kind of way. But I was feeling some kind of way because I'm sitting here fighting to be a good woman, and I'm fighting with the devil in my own house. And he knew exactly what to do to push my buttons. And we had one of those doors with the little window panes. I got pissed off. Boom. And I busted out the little one so that I could stick my hand in and open the door. When I tell you that when I went into the house, every single window pane had been nailed shut to make sure that I didn't try to nigger rig a way to get into my own home. But yet and still, when he got there, he decided to call his family members to tell them that this bitch is crazy, because look at what she done did. We gonna need to buy a new door, a new window, or do something, because she done busted out the door, with the window on the door. Everything that he antagonized that I fell into the trap of doing, then that meant that there was something wrong with me. And I remember when he came back, this was one of those days where the spirit wasn't just so high with August. I was like, okay, if you do something stupid, then it's on. And he did. And we wrestling and we tussling, because after he broke his finger, he didn't hit me, but he still just like it's still not right, ladies. Some of y'all not getting hit, but you getting abused and you getting tossed around and you getting talked to crazy and you dealing with it. But we wrestled and we going all over the place. And this, oh my God, this man literally, and I don't even know if you can see it. You probably can't. There's a little mark under my chin. He bit me until his tooth pierced my chin. And at that point, that was like, something got to change, August. Something got to change. Something's got to change. And I realized that the only thing I could change was myself. But at this point, I'm a little crippled. I'm crippled financially because, see, you guys have to remember, I've always prided myself in serving my clients at my home. When they set their appointments, it was one-on-one. It was just me and them. And even when he wasn't around for long, a lot of my clients could feel the vibe, and they kind of just disappeared on me. And so I was lucky if I was making $500 a week. So how am I going to get back out there? Miss Confident wasn't as confident anymore. How do I get back out there so that I can, get my clientele back up and to make enough money? And somewhere in the middle of all of this drama, I got pregnant. Man. But I had some wisdom come to me. I remember one day I did my client's hair, and I call her Black Kim. And if she does watch, this is a shout out to you. Call her Black Kim, not to make fun of her, but she's one of the most gorgeous chocolate sisters I've ever seen. And I loved how black her skin was, so I called her Black Kim, and so do a lot of other people. But she came and got her hair done one day, and when she finished, she looked at me with her Kim-like attitude and said, I don't know you. And I was like, huh? She was like, yeah, I'm going to do to you what you would do to me. If I came here to get my hair done and my attitude was off and I was messed up, you would tell me that there's something wrong with you, boo-boo. Well, I'm telling you it's something wrong with you, boo-boo, because this ain't the August I know. Where all that excitement and where your energy at? Baby, I'm going to look you dead in your eyes and I'm going to tell you that you walking backwards. Oh, and I tried to hold it together, y'all. I did. But when she left, I cried for a very, very long time. Partially because her words was true. And after dealing with so many months of pain, that was one of the first pieces of love that I had felt in a while. And then right after that, I received a phone call and another wonderful client who I hadn't seen in a while. Her name was Katrina. I love Katrina. And she was an older woman. She could have been my mother. Matter of fact, she was friends with a guy that I used to kick it with at the skating rink. All of us used to just group up and go to Saints. And he told his mama, you should let this young lady do your hair. She might be my friend, mom, but the way she runs her business, she got it going on. And for years, she did. And she called me one day. I hadn't seen her in a while. She had grown her hair out. And at this point, all I did was braid. So she went to somebody else to get like her relaxers and stuff like that. And she was like, I just want to touch base with you. And I was like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. KK's good. I got married, blah, 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 blah. She said, when can I come and see you? And that was a scary question because I really didn't know when it was going to be safe for her to come and see me. But I had told her she could come over one day, and she did. And it was by the grace of God that this was just one of those days that James would just not come home all day. And she came in. She said, where your glasses at? She sat at the table. She reached out a bag. She pulled a glass of wine. She poured 2 cups or 2 glasses. And she said, so tell me what's really going on with you. Ooh, Lord, I didn't know that it was just oozing out of my spirit. I'm thinking I'm holding on. Y'all know what that is, right? You thinking that you holding on. You thinking that you holding it together. But you got these little angels that will come and they will tell you, no, baby, we see right through that. We see right through that. And she began to talk to me and tell me, baby, if you're not happy and you're not whole, then you're not supposed to be here. Once again, many tears would be shed when she left. Sister, you had that woman come to you to tell you to get out. But you know what you probably have done? The same thing I did. Perverted the advice. If I ain't whole and I ain't happy, I need to get out of it. But I took it as get out of my emotional state. Girl, you ain't right. You walking backwards. Okay, what can I do to start walking forward? So I prayed more and I studied more and I went to church more. But somewhere in the middle of all of this, I did begin to change. And he would argue and he would cuss and he would fuss and I would just be like, argue with yourself. I don't have time for this. Then I began to talk to my daughter because I was like, you know what? Forget him. You got to make sure your baby girl is okay. Look at what you exposing her to. Look at what she's seeing. I didn't have time for that mess. But I'm also pregnant, y'all. And one time me and him had gotten into a fight. Just a quick rewind. And I pulled a knife out on him. And the only reason why I probably didn't cut him, I know the only reason why I didn't cut him is because I couldn't see myself going to jail because I was still married to him. And if he didn't die, that's who my baby was going to be left with. But on this one particular day, out of nowhere, there had been nothing for months because I wouldn't feed into his retarded ass behavior. He decided to push on me while I was pregnant, y'all. I was 9 months. Let the games begin. I said, oh yeah, so you gonna push on me and I'm pregnant and we going back and forth. And my baby is in there crying and I'm like, oh my God. And I don't know what to do. And I run and go get a knife. And he say, so what, you gonna cut me for real this time? And y'all, honestly, I lost it. I snapped and I blanked out. But I didn't do what you all think that I would have done. For some odd reason, we always self-destruct. We had one of those pantries that were big that you could fit inside, but it also had a little lock on the inside. Why? I don't know, but that's what it had. And I went inside of the pantry and I locked the door and I sat there and I held the knife onto my skin and I just kept pushing and I'd stop and I'd push and I'd stop and I'd push and I'd stop. And I was like, but I can't. And I'm thinking because I'm like, get out the closet. KK's still out there. Get out the closet. But I don't hear him saying nothing to her and I don't hear him doing nothing. But I can hear her crying faintly. And I'm sitting in the closet because I don't want to be here no more. And he was like, what the fuck you gonna do? What the fuck you? I was like, I'd rather die compete with you, nigga. I was losing my mind. And you may not have been that far, sister, but let me tell you, if you've been in one of these kind of relationships, you've been to the point where since you wasn't strong enough and wise enough in the moment to get out, that you would have damn near killed yourself in order to be free. But the cops came. And the ambulance came after the cops were there. And you know, the cops were really friendly because they'd been to our house before. And one of the cops, he looked at me and he said, I thought you was going to leave him. Really, that's all you got to say to me? The people came in the ambulance and they were like, come on, come with us. Let us check your blood pressure, all this stuff. I was like, I'm all right. Just leave me alone. I'm good. So, you know, he was sitting there pushing on me. I'm a pregnant woman. Are y'all going to arrest him? What are y'all going to do? Nobody did anything. They're like, ma'am, come on, please. Let us just check on you. You know, you got the baby. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. Listen to you. Your temper's up, so on and so forth. And before I knew it, I went ahead and sat down in the ambulance and let them check me. And they said whatever they said to, you know, make it seem like it was okay. And I'm sitting here crazy because they didn't lock the doors and drove me off. Yeah, see, y'all thought I might have been like crazy, and that's how I ended up in the psych ward. No, I just had a moment. And since I was pregnant and I was an endangerment to me and my unborn baby, they took me to the hospital where I was supposed to give birth, and they took me to the psych ward. And I remember my friend Janine McCaleb shouting at the receptionist saying, you got the wrong crazy one. It's not her. And I remember calling him and saying, I could leave if you just come up here and get me. And his answer to me was, you put yourself there. And I had to stay there for 72 hours with people walking around talking to themselves, staring off in space, eyes spazzed out because they really are psychotic and on drugs. And my doctor, since it was on the weekend, was not available, but he came in as soon as he could. And he said, okay, you really weren't going to kill yourself. I can see that the marks are superficial. It wasn't necessarily the wisest decision, but what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I want you to go ahead and induce this labor so I can have this baby so I can do something. And that right there, finally, that right there was the ultimate moment, because I had to look at myself. And as much as his words hurt me, he was right. I put myself there. But I never put myself there again. So when I got out, I told him. I said, if you even make me think that you're going to put your hands on me, it's a wrap. I don't want no more shit from you at all. You either fix what you got going on, or this is over. I would end up going into labor, having my baby. Week 1, no problem. Week 2, no problem. Week 3, no problem. No problem, no problem, no problem. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, I started working with a multi-level marketing company, Quickstar. I had picked back up where I had left off with some amazing people. And I'm like, let's get this thing going. And the people there loved me. I had put on my game face and I was ready to get back in the groove and get back selling and meeting people. And it's so crazy because they loved August. I got free tickets to baseball games and I would go on the stage and they would praise me and he would get jealous. And this one particular meeting, he got exceptionally jealous. And he's like, I'm ready to go. He didn't want to stay for the full meeting. I said, oh, I think it's coming. Because his parents lived around the corner from us, when he kind of started getting irate and he wanted to start arguing, even when we got home, luckily KK was asleep. I left her laying in the bed. I said, I'm not going to argue with you. I remember picking up my baby Jaden and taking her with me to go around to his mother's house. You know, I named her Jaden because I was so psychotic at one point and I was so frustrated. I remember calling that friend Janine McCaleb and saying, I'm busted. I don't have any money. I can't have a baby by this man. Please give me the money to have an abortion. And she was like, you know, I don't believe in that, August, and I don't believe that you want to do it. You know you love that child. And a lot of people that don't even know it, you just named your kids Jaden. But the reason why I named my baby Jaden is because it means God has heard. And I prayed and I prayed and I said, God, after everything I've been through, please let her come out healthy and happy. And my baby was born healthy and smiling. So God heard my prayers. That's why her name is Jaden. So I took my little baby with me and we went around the corner to his mother's house and I said, I'm just going to lay here and go to sleep and I'm going to give him a chance to work through his anger and get it okay. I'm knocked out. I feel something, my foot. I look up, I'm like, really? Even at your mama crib? Okay, I see you in these streets. I said, look, I ain't told you. If I even think it, I got to go. And this Negro says to me, that's all right. KK's at the house. Whoo. I hurried up. I jumped out the bed. I put my baby in the car. I drove back around the corner. He was just sitting on the porch. He's like, get my baby out the car. I said, oh, no, she's staying in there. I had already picked up the phone while I was driving. I said, Nakia, come on. Because, see, I already had a plan of escape. Because if it happened, I was like, when I call you in that midnight hour, I need to know that you're going to be there. Baby, I went in that house. He's like, I wasn't going to do shit to KK. What is you tripping for? And I'm like, nah, baby. See, that's one game that you don't play. Not on my firstborn child. Not on my baby girl. That won't be going down. And I remember that he reached and I turned around and looked at him. I said, motherfucker, this day I will kill your ass. And if you think I'm playing, you test me. Because if it's one thing that I realize is that I don't belong here and I don't love you and I'm going to get the fuck up out of here before you die and my kids ain't got no damn mama to raise them. Because I ain't going to try to kill your ass. This is it. He stepped back. That was it. I grabbed everything that I could take with me, and it wasn't that much of anything. But I got KK and I got Jaden in the clothes that could fit in my girlfriend's van, and I left. And when I tell y'all I had to start over, I had to start over. Meaning that I didn't have no forks, no spoons, no knives, no toilet tissue. I didn't have no covers, no dresser, no refrigerator. I didn't have anything except for the little bit of my mind that was sane was still there. So yeah, I married him. I made a lot of mistakes. I stayed. I was superficially religious. I don't know what your mistakes were. I don't know why you stayed. But if there's one thing that I do know, as women in relationships like that, we can always have a tendency to justify. He's stressed out. He doesn't have a job. You know, that's really hard on a man. He's under a lot of pressure right now. I shouldn't have burnt the food. Maybe my attitude should have been better. Baby, you're a jewel. You are a jewel. It's not you. It's not you. There's a scripture that says, don't throw your pearls before swine. That's exactly what I did. Me as a pearl and even my vagina as a pearl. I threw it to him and he didn't deserve it. But I got out. I got out as fast as I could. But I didn't have nothing. How did I get from nothing all the way to here to something? You know, I know y'all can't stay here with me all night. But see, after you go through a tragic situation like that, and then decide to make a change, some of you all need to understand that there really is hope. That there really is a method of escape. That there really is a God that will cover you. I have to share one other thing with you. One thing that God did for me. See, when you're going through and you're praying and you're trying to figure out how to get through all of this mess, you can become very weary in your faith. And I remember when I had came to that point where I'm like, God, I'm not even responding to his mess anymore. And it seemed like everything I was praying for wasn't happening. I remember one night, literally, this was my prayer. God, do you still love me? And that's all I could say. And I remember that next morning when I woke up, I had a visitor come to my door. I had woke up, I got ready, I had a client that was going to get their hair done. She was already there. I know when people come into my house. So why is somebody knocking? The mailman ain't running this early. And I look, and it was one of my aunts. Now, mind you, even though I might have been frustrated because none of them were there before, God still used this woman. And she was a hairstylist, and this was on a Monday. And you all need to understand that on Mondays, number one, she slept late. And number two, she went shopping. And she was at my house before like 9 o'clock. This is so like not freaking her. And I'm like, hey, I mean, since she my auntie, bitter or not, she's still family. I let her in. Me, her, and my client, we having a good time and we talking. And then she says, you know what? I just need to cut to the chase after she'd been there for an hour. She said, I got a message to give you. And she came to me and she put her arms around me and she whispered in my ear, God told me to tell you that, yes, he still loves you. That was part of the fuel. That's part of what gave me the faith to believe that I could do anything, because I'm going to tell you something. When you trying your best to love God and you in the middle of a mess and you in a bad relationship, it's one of them things where when you slip, you could sit there and say to yourself, well, maybe God didn't answer my prayer because the Bible said that you're supposed to shun vain and profane babbling, and he that cussed me out, not and cussed him out back. Oh, maybe God ain't answering my prayers because the Bible say get angry and don't sin. But you know what? I fell into the trap and I got back angry. Matter of fact, I let the sun go down in my wrath. I went to bed and I was angry. And I'm telling you, I already know what we do. We find some kind of way to blame ourselves. But I learned even back then, for real, in spite of all of my mess, that he really, really, really loved me beyond a shadow of a freaking doubt. Because the last vessel in the world that I would ever expect him to use came and answered the exact prayer that I prayed for. And I may not be what you call a typical Christian, but see, it's that kind of stuff right there when people say, well, August, why do you believe God and why do you claim Christ? Because of that. See, I prayed in the name of Jesus and I literally got a very profound verbal answer through a vessel. I just don't judge anybody else for what they do. I just know how God communicates to me. And that faith would help carry me. And I would begin to take actions and steps towards restoration in the physical and spiritual realm. And I would end up coming out to be a new creature. And I would end up connecting with new people. And I would end up getting a support system. And I would become a new person, a better person, a lively person, a woman of God, a spiritual person, a motivator and inspirer. I became a work in progress. So join me tomorrow where we can transition this story of pain and begin to add some hope, especially for those of you that may be caught in the middle of staying or leaving. Thanks for giving me some of your time. If this was your first video, go back to part 1 and part 2. See you.